As a society, we have grown to think debt is normal. You have to have debt to live. You want a car, you have to have a car payment. To buy a house, you need a 30-year mortgage. We have to work until we're 70 just to pay off that 30-year mortgage. What we have to realize is that the belief that debt is normal is being sold to us. They don't even have to keep selling it. They just have to convince one generation of people that this is what to do, this is normal, this is how you get where you need to go. And then those people raise children that's all they know. They only know debt as normal. That is the way things are. You have to get a credit card and have credit. You have to do this and that in order to have all of these things to keep up with your neighbors. There is another way, and there is a debt-free life. And more people are starting to realize this and come through the fog of what this society has been teaching us about debt. So in today's video, we're going to talk about 10 hacks to eliminate debt, whether that's credit cards, car payments, student loans, home equity loan, personal bank loan, whatever it may be, how to actually get to where, oh my goodness, I don't have any monthly payments due to anyone. The thing about having payments is it isn't just the monetary value that is stressful on your shoulders. It is the emotional weight that having those debt payments, even multiple ones, and getting them every month has on you. It's where you feel like, and you say this, I can't do this because I have these payments. I have to go to work because I have these payments. I can't make a change in job. I can't go back to school. We can't have just one person working and one person stay at home to take care of ailing parents or the children because we have these payments. Now, why is this such a hot topic right now? Obviously, debt has been around. That's not new. But there are two highly publicized headlines that are showing up right now. And one is the crazy statistic that credit card balances just hit a record high of $1 trillion. There was an article in the New York Times that says credit card balances hit new peak. Debt rose to more than $1 trillion in the second quarter, a report found, a sign of financial strain for some even before student loan repayments resume. The 1 trillion mark that hit is on the heels of the student loan repayment coming up. This is another one of the headlines. After the end of 3 years of student loans being put on pause, which means you didn't have to make any payments, there wasn't any interest accruing, there are 45 million Americans estimated that have student loans, and their debt repayments are getting ready to start back up. The interest is going to start accruing again. So what this is saying is that people who are already struggling, or people who were already, leveraging and using credit cards up to the mark of $1 trillion, and now about 45 million of those borrowers have these huge monthly payments that are getting ready to start back up. There was an article on foxbusiness.com that was titled, "Many Student Loan Borrowers Unsure How They'll Restart Payments After Pause Ends." The article went on to say, in the U.S., an average monthly student loan is well above $400. So it's not surprising to see so many borrowers express concern about adjusting their budgets when they already feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck to make ends meet. The thing about the student loans is more than 99% of the people who had them didn't take advantage of these span of time where they didn't have any interest accruing. Instead, they replaced that monthly payment with other expenses or other debts. I share these because I want to talk about the impact of getting rid of these stresses that are so prominent and are so huge right now. I share this because it is time to change our thinking and get rid of these bricks on our shoulders. So here is how you can get started in having a life free of payments. Number one is to admit to the reality of your situation. If you don't know my story, I was heavy in debt in my early 20s. I remember the day, the spot, the location, the phone call of when it hit me, when I was outside of my apartment and I finally said, enough is enough. I don't know what to do. And I get emotional to this day, remembering how I felt and reading those articles about those people who are in debt. I remember that feeling. And if you've never had that weigh on you and it's collectors calling and not being able to feel like you breathe, you feel like there's an elephant on your chest, you have to finally admit it, because admitting it makes this pain it almost releases the emotion and you are able to express it. You just have to admit that, hey, the reality is this is where I am. This is when I gave in and I said, here is where I am. I need help. You have to admit that you lost control. You did too much. The thing about this, admitting the situation though, is now it's over. Let's sulk and sit in it for about 5 minutes, maybe an hour or two, but that's all you get. That's it. Now you have to take back control. You're going to fix the past. You aren't allowed to live in regret though. Don't live in regret about it. It is what it is. You can't change the past. What matters is what you're going to do going forward. Listen, I understand admitting that failure, admitting that mistake is hard. It's hard to pop that delusion that any debt is good debt that has been given to us by the market. And for anyone who wants to come at me and say, yes, there's good debt. No, you're wrong. Anytime you owe somebody, it's not good debt. It's not a good thing. Yes, it might help you get a house or a car. Okay, but it's not necessarily a good thing because leverage equals risk. Murphy doesn't play. It is a risk. A job loss, a market shift, an injury that cuts off your ability to pay those monthly payments doesn't keep that lender from knocking on your door asking for their money. That looming fear is what you try to hide in your fantasy world when you say there is a good debt. Number 2 is an action that we're going to take. We're going to audit our debt. You have to know where you are to know where you're going. If you've been to a mall and you've got those maps, they're digital now. Back in the day, they weren't digital. But the first thing that you have to do is find that little triangle, no, it's a diamond. That little diamond that says, you are here. Because obviously, if you want to go to this store, it's over here. But first, I need to know where I am in this maze of a mall in order to get there. You have to know where you are so you know where to go. So the first step is your debt. And this can be a giant tunnel to go down. But you've got to list all your debts. List them out this way, okay? You want to list it out by debt name. Who owns the loan and what is it for? An example would be the credit union, and the loan is the car. Then you're going to list the debt amount. What is the current balance? You might have to call and get that amount. Interest rate. What is the interest rate on that loan? Okay. Minimum payment. What is the minimum payment on that loan? And then you're going to total it all up. Now, totaling it all up is either going to make you realize it isn't as bad as you were catastrophizing it in your mind, or it could be painful. Either way, it is necessary. You may have to actually pull up your credit report in order to get all of the details, because there could be some old debts or things you don't realizing on there. So that's another way to help you sort through everything if there is a big mess that you have to do. But you have to audit your debt and know where you are. The third part here is the most underutilized tool I believe that there is out there. Businesses have to use these. So I don't know why more people don't. And that is the power of a budget. And people go, ugh, budget. Listen, this is where it is. This is the answer. This is where you find what you need. A lot of people fail to manage money well because they don't pay attention to their money. They just let it go. It's not like that. It's like a toddler. You gotta watch where it's going. It's not in high school yet. Once you've figured out how to manage it properly, maybe you can loosen the grips a little bit, but people who have a lot of money, there's still more benefit there if they have a budget as well. This is so important because, again, it helps you find that extra money that you're going to use to pay off that debt faster. This helps you to see where you can cut back, where you are overspending. It is more than just a plan. A good analogy here with a budget is think of opening up a wall. In your house, you open up the drywall to find a leak. You don't know what you have until you open it up. You open it up to see the current state of things, what you need to fix. Is there anything you need to shore up? Now, as far as a method, honestly, I have done the work for you. For me, I have tried so many different budgeting methods, and the one that works for me is the one that's accessible to me anytime. And that is an app that's on my phone. I even tried, the spreadsheet, because I love sitting and working on spreadsheets at work, and that's part of what I do. But that had too much resistance. Beyond being behind a screen all day long, the last thing I wanted to do was sit there and write down all of my purchases, come home, pop the computer open, and have to enter them. Even writing them down, you may have seen older videos from me where I've talked about a budget where I had an envelope. If you've ever seen the budget methods from Jordan Page from Fun, Cheap, or Free, where she tracks her other and groceries on literally a mailing envelope. That wasn't sustainable. I would be missing a pen to write it down. I'd lose a receipt. The envelope would fall out of my purse. I wouldn't have my purse with me. But I always had my phone. And I use the Every Dollar app from Dave Ramsey. Now, this thing used to be clunky back in the day. I even used it before I did some of these other methods, and I just didn't like it because it was clunky. But now it is amazing. It is super helpful. And one of the last times I mentioned this, the viewers who were in other countries other than the United States said it wasn't available there. So if you would do me a favor, if you are in another country and you have a great app that you know is accessible in your country, if you will write it down for others in the comments, put where you're from and the app that you recommend, that would be extremely helpful. Now, I understand it might be intimidating at first. This is the first time you're doing this, but all you need to do is start filling in the blanks, especially with something as easy as one of these apps where it's just plug and play. What is your income? And then what are your fixed monthly expenses, like your mortgage, your rent, your insurance, your cell phone, the things that are stationary, they don't change. From there, you then move on to things that are more fluctuating, like utilities, groceries, gas. Look at bank statements, credit card statements from the last couple of months to see what an average is. And from this, you take your income minus those expenses. And then you're left with what some like to call the gap or the margin, if there is a buffer between your income and your expenses, okay? Now, if there is no space here, there is a larger issue. There is an income issue, a lifestyle issue, or both. Based on any margin you have, though, so if you do have that margin, that money is what you're using to pay down your debts in either your debt snowball or your debt avalanche method, which, stay tuned, I'll talk more about that here later in the video. So you can see the more that you increase that income and the more you reduce those expenses, then the more money you have to use to eliminate that debt faster, the more margin. Now, I have a ton of videos on my channel as far as ways to reduce your expenses. I will list some of those down in the description box below. I will also put 2 in the corners of this video at the end if you want to check those out. These are practical things that you can do to reduce the cost of living and effectively live below your means. Number 4 here is you have to develop a debt payoff plan. Make a plan or plan to fail, as you probably heard. So for someone who has multiple debts, a plan like the debt snowball is a really successful plan. You pay off your smallest debt first, and then you list them from smallest to largest. And the reason this works is human behavior shows that we like to see progress towards our goals. If we don't see progress, we stop. If you don't see weight coming down on the scale, are you really going to continue to work out as hard as you were? This is why the snowball method is so successful. You want to go with the plan that has quick wins because you're more likely to keep going and finish it. You feel the progress, the numbers moving down. You may have heard of the avalanche method, which lists your debts in most expensive interest rate to lowest interest rate. And this is often talked about, but honestly, it doesn't have the quick payoff. Yes, monetarily, paying off the interest rate highest loan first will save you money in the long run, technically, but again, think about this. If you don't finish it, if it isn't sustainable and you give up because you aren't given what, again, human behavior wants, and that's those quick wins, does it save you in the long run? No, because you stop and you keep paying and you don't pay off the debts that you have. I'm going to take a sample scenario to show you about the debt snowball if you are unfamiliar. So let's assume you have 3 debts. You have a $20,000 car loan, $3,000 on credit cards, and a $14,000 student loan. You're going to put all of your extra money towards the principal balance on the smallest debt first. So in this example, that's the $3,000 credit card. You're going to pay the minimum balance on the student loan and the car loan. So let's say your margin gives you $500 that you can pay towards that smallest debt, which is the $3,000 credit card. So you're paying that every month, then you get it paid off. Then what you're going to do is take that $500 and add it to the minimum payment of the next smallest debt, which in this scenario is the $14,000 student loan. Let's assume that you were paying $300 a month towards that student loan. So that now new payment of margin is $800 towards that student loan. So you're going to continue paying from there. Once you get the student loan paid off, you take the $800 plus the minimum that you were paying on your car loan, and you pay that chunk of amount. Now keep in mind, this is assuming there are no extra incomes or no extra raises during this time, which there typically are. So as you continue on this and the number of loans you have left go through, the amount, so you have less loans, less numbers of debts because you're paying them off quickly, the amount that you're putting towards each of them each month starts getting larger and larger like a snowball. And as a fun thing to look into the future, think about this. This is a great motivator because this is what your goal is here. Let's say you get to the end of this scenario that I put in front of you here, and you've been chunking away $1,200 a month and you get all of them paid off. Now they are paid off. Look at that huge amount of money you've been putting against that debt each month, and now what happens? Wait a minute, now you get to keep it. That could be you. Now that you have an idea of how to put a debt payoff plan into place, listen, no matter how shocked you were by the amount of debt that you piled up in one of the first steps, you will see an immediate reduction in stress once you have a plan in place. There is just something about having a plan of action to a problem that immediately alleviates so much stress. Now listen, absolutely everybody's situation is different, so how to navigate your plan will depend on your goals and what you can do right now. I could spend hours going over different types of scenarios, but instead stay tuned to the end of this video, the last tip that I will give you that will help you delve deeper into this new debt-free lifestyle. But once you start the plan and you start chipping away at this debt, the more progress you make, the more confident you will feel that it can be done. So think of it like a roadmap that you're creating. Number 5 is being realistic about your lifestyle. You almost need to step outside your house and view your current situation as if you were a neighbor looking into another neighbor's house. If you have been living with debt, your lifestyle has to change. Oftentimes, debt comes from living above your means, thinking if I can make the payment, I can get the thing. Are you still eating out? Do you have 2 huge car loans that are taking over $1,000 plus a month from your budget? Is your mortgage a huge percentage of your take-home pay? There may be large changes in life that you need to make. We are now on number 6. And earlier we talked about those quick wins, that progress that as humans we need to feel in order to feel like we're getting somewhere so that we can keep going. In number 6, get quick results. How do we do that? One of the quickest ways to really make a drastic change is to try what we call here in Frugal Life or in the finance niche on YouTube as a no spend month. This helps you break those bad habits quickly. It's almost like going cold turkey. If you're really spendy, and trust me, I was really spendy, and you do it, it will wake you up. It's like breaking most bad habits. It hurts, but after a bit, you start seeing the light. You get the fog is lifted. This is such a great way to catapult you into being more intentional about your spending. It's a quick way to learn how to say no to yourself and to maybe the little ones in your family. Now, it also causes you to save a huge chunk of money in 1 month. You could end up saving $1,000 or more that you can put towards debt and possibly knock some of them off immediately with just 1 month of no spending. Now on to number 7. Getting into debt is easy and fun. What do I mean by that? It's easy for most people to borrow money. It's also fun to get the new thing that you borrowed money for. Getting out of debt, though, is not easy. There's no magic pill. It takes work. So for number 7, for a season, you might need to have another job, a side job, not just a side hustle that you do like a creative endeavor, but you might actually have to go out and get one at a local store, doing stocking shelves, something, delivering pizza, something that gets you immediate, quick money. So the faster you can get out of that debt, that is obviously easy to get into but hard to get out, the more likely you are to finish. We've established that to this point. Taking on a side job for a season is an easy way to stack cash and throw at that debt each month. Now, you may be not used to working this much. You may be tired after your 40 to 50 hour a week job, but the sacrifice you make today will be worth it. Also, the pain of this, the sacrifice of working to the bone, missing out on some family time for a season, is going to be a healthy reminder of what debt did to you and what you had to sacrifice to get out of it. Number 8 is something that I see in society we are lacking now. And I'm almost 40 years old. I can see now, back versus before, the last decade, so, and it's taking responsibility for our actions. You took out the debt. You are responsible for it. You cannot depend on anyone or any entity to come and save you or bail you out from it. Once you take back that responsibility, though, for something, you take ownership over it. You take the power back to change your life. It's no longer in anybody else's hands. And there is something encouraging, empowering about that, hey, you know what? I can do this. I don't need anybody else. I can do this. Once you remove the woe is me, the I can't get ahead mindset, stress comes off of you because you are empowered. You realize that waiting around and feeling sorry for yourself literally just makes things worse. Number 9 is to finally believe that you can do it. I am very big in authenticity, and one of the reasons I talk about finance here on YouTube is because I've been through it. I went from growing up, we didn't have a lot. We had everything we needed, absolutely, and some of what we wanted. But I had parents who taught me the value of good work and hard work. And then I grew up and I bucked against it and I went into debt and I climbed and clawed my way out of it. And I've gotten to the point where I am now and am financially in such a good place. I have done the work. So I want to show you and tell you that you can do it. Number 8, believe you can do it. Oprah Winfrey is quoted to have said this: "You become what you believe, not what you wish or want, but what you truly believe." Wherever you are in life, look at your beliefs. They put you there. I am telling you, you can do it. I recently had a viewer send me a comment, and I was so thankful that she did. And she let me know that she had just paid off her mortgage. She said she'd been watching my videos for years. And so a few years ago, she was hearing me and she heard me talk about it. And she said, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it. And she then did it. She even did it faster than I did. I am so happy for her. But that is just one of the many things that once you believe you can do something, watch it happen. Number 10 is keep going past this video. You've got to keep going and digging. This is such a complex topic and everyone has different scenarios. There might be some nuance of yours that you need more clarification or help on a step, and I can't cover that in a 20-30 minute video. So I want to give you some of a few resources that have helped me, that I believe in, that I know have helped me get where I am, that I still listen to today. And these people have books, podcasts that will help you continue to learn and immerse yourself in this newfound lifestyle. Now, I'm going to go from the ones that I found recently to the ones that I've known forever. One that's not heard of, has not really popped on the scene, but I promise he will, is Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And he's a young, psychologist. He's a doctor, obviously a doctorate. And I have read 4 of his books. 3 of them I've read twice. 1 of them I'm on my 3rd of reading. And this is in the last 4 months since I found him. That is how impactful some of his messages are. And it isn't just about debt. It's not about finances really at all. It's about mindset. and the thought into it, and actually looking at things from a different perspective. The one book that I highly recommend first would be Your Future Self Now. That is the first one that I read, and then I went down the rabbit hole. Great book. He also has a YouTube channel that you can check out, Dr. Benjamin Hardy. The other one is Ramit Sethi, and there's a documentary on Netflix, or like a series of show where he goes through people's debt and talks to them about it, but he also has a book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and it's like, what is your rich life? Check that one out. And then the one that I will spout for the rest of my life, it's the book that changed my life, that really opened back up what I had grown up listening to, but added it on top of a complex nuance of today's society, of seeing more of people's lives, and that is Love Your Life, Not Theirs by Rachel Cruz. Rachel Cruz is Dave Ramsey's daughter. That book hits the emotional side of comparisons and will change your life as far as that goes, to be honest. And then there's obviously Dave Ramsey. If you're starting out and you want the best method, that my personal opinion, I'm not affiliated with Ramsey. Somebody asked that question whatsoever, but I wholeheartedly believe in the technique. I didn't know about the technique when I was going through my debt-free journey, but my journey of paying off in my early 20s, I wish I had. Probably would have helped me get there faster and made better decisions. But the Total Money Makeover is the place to start to get the actual good practical tips that millions of people have used to become debt-free. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you want to share this with other people to help spread this world, this thought that we can get past this culture of debt, then share this video, click on that like button down below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It's completely free. You just have to hit the subscribe button, and all that does is put my videos over in the tab of your subscriptions if you go on YouTube and you're looking for something to watch. That way you can see my latest video. So I hope that you do that, and I hope to see you on the next video.